What's going on, guys, and welcome to the Low Kick MMA UFC Fight Night I vs Calvillo recap show. And joining me today, as usual, is Low Kick MMA site manager Jordan Ellis. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm good. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So we had the card this past weekend. Overall, not the greatest card I've seen. I think the big narrative going into this card was the four fighters that missed weight. Because obviously you had a main event fighter missing weight and a co-main event fighter missing weight. And there was two others, I can't remember who they were. But there's four fighters missing weight, or maybe three and one didn't weigh in. And that's pretty unheard of. I don't know any other time that four people have missed weight. Have you heard of any other card where four people miss weight on?
No, but this is kind of what I expected at the start of when he started introducing fights back. So I've been quite impressed that up until now we've had everyone making weight, mainly making weight. I think one fighter's missed on about three of the cards, and then no one missed. And then this is kind of what I expected. You know, it's getting put together at last minute. People aren't able to train properly, so it's just it's gonna happen, isn't it? And I'm sure they're gonna lose a percentage of the pay, so I'm sure they've paid for it as well.
Of course, and I mean the Jessica I, the main event fighter, missing weight, and there was all that controversy around if she used the towel to weigh in under, because I think in the post-fight press conference, Calvillo was saying that 30 minutes before I weighed in, she got a message from I's team saying that she weighed 129. I think it was a flyweight belt. It's 129. So somehow she lost 4 pounds in half an hour, which is pretty wild, and especially because she only weighed in at 126.25. If you're only 0.25 over, surely there's something you can do to cut that little last bit. So obviously going into that fight, there was all that, and the fight itself, pretty dominant performance from Calvillo. Not much to see. There wasn't much that happened in that fight. It was pretty much just Calvillo worked her on the ground, held her down, looked for submissions, and just beat her up, you know. Not what I saw happening going in. I thought I was the better striker, and I thought it would show on the night. But no, I think Calvillo's a good enough striker that she was able to negate any danger, and she just took it to where she was comfortable. She took her down and just grinded her out.
Yeah, it was actually a really good performance from Calvillo. I don't want to go in on I too much. I think she didn't look great, but she was made to look not look her best because Calvillo just weren't there. She was popping in, she was hitting her with just 1-2s and jumping out, and she was hitting her with head kicks, and she was mixing in the wrestling, and she was just doing everything right. She looked great, so it's a great debut for her. She seemed to just be winding up and looking for the one punch, and it just she just went on that night, and just you had this little girl just running around and blasted in the face and getting out, and she's just she weren't able to hit her, so that might be an issue going forward for Calvillo, that she's hitting people clean head kicks and not able to hit them. But she looked great, and excited to see where she goes. It just is the fact that this is Jessica I's your number one in the division, and then there's obviously a clear drop between Calvillo and Shevchenko, so this division isn't the greatest division to watch, but when someone puts on a performance like that, I'm excited to see her mix it with the best girls now, and then see her if she can do it again, or was that just who she got the better of.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on the fact that the division is pretty much Shevchenko, then the rest of the division. I can't see anyone in the top contenders there at the moment that would have a shot at beating Shevchenko, but you never know. But there's definitely other matchups for her there. I wouldn't mind seeing a Chukagian fight with Calvillo. That's one I would be interested in, especially after Chukagian's last performance, because that was so dominant. So that might be something interesting. There's other matchups there that you could make, but I heard talk of putting her into a title shot straight after. I think Dana White said that's when he was asked about it, that's what they did with Gilbert Burns, right? He beat the number one contender straight into a title shot. But I just can't see her having a shot at Valentina right now. I think she definitely needs to prove herself before they give her that. Otherwise, she's just going to lose, and then there's the only really prospect you have at the moment in that division, because there's no one else rising at the moment I can think of. I mean, JoJo, but even then, she's lost to Calvillo. She's lost to people in that division. So, yeah, not a lot there for me personally, but I don't know. I'm excited to see her fight again. That was a great performance, so.
I think it was it was more her performing really well than I performing not well. I think she just beat it at everything. She was busier. She just wanted it more. It was just everything about it. She dominated the fight, and it was I think after round one, a corner said pick it up, and she picked it up, and it was it weren't the obviously this is what we say. It weren't like a war or anything like that, and people complaining about this main event, and they were probably right to do so. But it was a good showcase fight for someone like Calvillo to step up. She was missing weight. She stepped up and she's proved herself at 125, and it's just more about how is she gonna hang with the bigger girls, because it was clear that she was smaller than I and she weren't able to hurt her. So very interested to see if she can like kind of bulk up and maybe, because she was hitting her with everything and she was hitting her clean, and I'm interested to see how she goes and if she can, settle into the division, because it takes a while to build up your body mass for the division. Dustin Poirier came to lightweight and he looked, a bit undersized, and he got cleaned out by Malcolm Johnson, and now he's just one of the biggest lightweights there is. So you can build up into a division as well. Excited to see it go.
For sure, and we'll just keep moving down the card. So the co-main of the evening was actually about I was very interested in. Obviously, the matchup between Marvin Vettori and Carl Robertson, with all the drama they had beforehand, and then Carl Robertson missing weight again. Which, when I heard that, I was like, "Is he going to pull out again? Is the fight off again?" But obviously, he didn't miss by too much. I don't know what he weighed in at. But yet, he entered the ring and it went down, and Marvin Vettori showed that he's the superior fighter. On the feet, it was quite even. It was just a bit of a stalemate, and then Vettori just relentless with the takedowns. Good scrambles for Robertson. Lots of good scrambles there. But Vettori just relentless. Ended up finding the rear naked choke, if I'm right. I think it was a rear naked choke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just Vettori doing whatever he wanted. I think he just, all that frustration of waiting out for so long just took over him, and he was just relentless. He was just non-stop. He just wanted to like basically kill this man, and he was just in there to do his job, and he did it. And it showed the levels, because I think Vettori is the dark horse at middleweight. I think he's the one to watch. And he just showed it. He was kind of fought with reckless abandon though, because he was getting in bad positions, but just just powering his way out of it. So I think in future fights we'll see a better version of him, and he'll be more calculated and dominant. But I think he just wanted to, just rip someone's neck off, and he got it. And he looked brilliant, and he's someone, I'm definitely excited about, because the way he talks, the way he fights, he's got everything to be like our future champ. And Carl Robinson was just in the way today, and he the other day, and he just got ran over. And for someone who come in overweight the other week, it's not a surprise that he came in overweight again, because he was meant to be, he got an illness off the back of cutting weight. So how is he going to cut weight again a month later? And I think he was about 5 pounds over. So that's one of them things. I don't want to be too harsh on fighters right now, because like it's a difficult situation everyone's in. Everyone's taking fights at weights they're not really contracted to fight at, and that's just going to happen, isn't it? And people are going to miss weight. Like maybe while the pandemic's going on, he should step up to light heavyweight and see how he does there. And then once he's able to train properly, he can come back down. And I think that's what a few people are choosing to do, but it doesn't always go the way you want it to go, as we've seen on the undercard with Hannah Cyphers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Vettori looked fantastic, and I know you spoke to him before this fight after the last one fell through. And the funny thing I noticed, his demeanor and how he talks it's consistent everywhere. He's always this like passionate person who speaks his mind, drops a couple of F-bombs on ESPN and whatnot. So yeah, I like his personality. I think he's going to go far in terms of like selling himself, as this up and coming contender. I think he can probably get a top 15 guy off of this, and maybe he can work his way up quick. So I'd like to see what he does.
And he's a very serious dude. Like he's not messing about. He's here to like go to the top. And when you're speaking to someone like that, it's very clear like that they've got something about them. When you put all the skills with his personality and his passion for fighting, there's only one way he's going. So that's like I thought he was a contender before I spoke to him, and then once after I spoke to him, just the way he was talking and everything about him, just the fact he hasn't had a beer since January. He's just I'm sure he could have had a beer and still got that win, but he's just single focused mind. He's just all on the title and nothing else. And it's they're the type of guys who are gonna go and win the title. So very excited. I want him in the top 15 now. He needs a top 15 guy. Like he needs a proper test, and hopefully he gets it next, because he's making a lot of noise. So there's no reason not to put him in a big test. He's co-mained here. For me, I know there was no fight tonight, but if you had to give a fight tonight, that would have been it, even though it was only a round. It was it was good from Vittori, very good, and Carl Robinson did his bit with the scrambles, but he just got rolled over in the end.
For sure. And so, moving on for that, down the card, we had Charles Rosa versus Kevin Aguilar, which I thought was one of the worst bouts of the evening, one of the least entertaining from my perspective watching. Watching it in the first round, I thought Aguilar might have his number, but Rosa did recover towards the next second and third round, and I think he won the second and third and clearly won the fight. Wasn't much there to break down, though. What do you think?
No, it was pretty impressive from Rosa just because he's a jiu-jitsu guy and then he coming out in a karate stance and his corner shouting Wonder Boy, and
No, I heard
he
that.
looked good. I don't think there was anything wrong with what he did. I think Aguilera was just, he's just a body in there. To be fair, he was just getting picked off. He was throwing wild. He weren't doing much. I think that's maybe his third loss in a row now. So he's not in a good spot. I was happy to see Rosa win because he's a guy who's stepped up. He's at lightweight when last time he fought at featherweight. So if you want to make weight, maybe step in weight, but you might end up getting found out too. But I was happy because he was so tough against Bryce Mitchell, and he showed all the things you need to be a fighter, all the heart, all the everything. And then it was good to see him come back and get a clean win. I don't get who's giving that fight to Aguilar. I really don't. I thought Rosa was dictating with his karate fight, and he was just pointing him and getting away, and Aguilar weren't really touching him. So there's not much else to say than happy to see Rosa win. Aguilar, don't like to say it, but maybe he's done in UFC now. It didn't look great. He didn't I wouldn't call Rosa a top guy. So, and I thought he was playing with them towards the end. There weren't really much in it. So. There's not much else to say about that fight. It was a great one, but happy to see Rosa back in the win column.
For sure. And so moving down after that, before that, was Andre Fili versus Charles Jourdain, which if I had to go fight tonight, would have been this one. I thought this was an awesome fight to watch. A bit of back and forth war. The first round, Jourdain knocks him down. After that, Andre Fili comes back, and I'm pretty sure he took him down a bunch of times. He killed a lot of takedowns there. From memory anyway. I'd have to rewatch it, but I think I'm right. But yeah. I thought Philly won the fight pretty clearly as well, aside from the first round where he got dropped. So yeah, good fight, good scrap between the two, bit of a striking war for parts. What do you think?
Yeah, I picked Andre Fili before the fight just because before Jourdain hasn't, beat anyone at this level. And then as the fight is going, I was just thinking, oh, he might actually sneak a decision here. But he weren't impressing me. He weren't doing anything that, overtly impressed me. I didn't think Jourdain was doing anything worth of winning. He was just edging it for a little bit, but then in the end, I think Feely just he did take over, and he started to dominate a bit. So that was one of them fights where I think it could have gone either way. I had Feely winning, but it was just so close. But even if Jourdain won, he would have been in big trouble because he would have been getting matched with higher guys, and he just clearly weren't ready. I think he's only 24, so he'll come again. He's clearly talented. There's clearly a lot there, but it's just not his time right now. So I'm very glad Feely got the win, more for Jourdain than anything else, because he would have, if he stepped up too high, he would have got murked, and that's not what you want to see. Feely, he's a well-rounded guy, and he probably is ready for a step up now. And let's see how he does.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Jourdain coming off that win over Korean Superboy, big knockout win. They really just threw him to the sharks, right? They gave him someone they thought just to test how he'd go, to see if he's ready for that next level. And honestly, he's not ready for it. The one thing I did think coming to the decision, though, I thought maybe it would have been a draw, because I thought maybe from the knockdown in the first round they could give it 10-8 to Jourdain. And then I thought the next two obviously went to Philly. So I wouldn't have been upset with the draw, because I thought that fight was reasonably close. I didn't think it was super convincing either way. But I did have Philly winning it. So yeah, that's one thing. I think we need to see more draws, but that's just my take from that one.
Yeah, I don't mind the draw in that one. I honestly wouldn't have minded if Jourdain won. I thought even rounds 2 and 3 were fairly close. It was just he didn't dominate. He weren't able to. He seemed to be able to take him down whenever he wanted, but he didn't take him down a lot. He seemed to get his one takedown at the end of the round and try and steal it, and then it's always the case of what's he actually done with the takedown. He's just got it. Has he capitalized on it and made something happen? So I was kind of worried going to that decision that Feely might get, not robbed, but I thought it might go the other way. But yeah, I think the judge just got it right just about.
Yeah, and so speaking of takedowns, that's a good segue to the fight before that, which was Jordan Espinoza versus Mark De La Rosa. And De La Rosa was just looking for the takedown. He couldn't get it. It was like one of those stories where the person is getting pieced on the feet, he's getting hurt on the feet, so all he could do was look for that takedown. Couldn't find it, just got outpointed for 3 rounds, and yeah, that was it.
Yeah, it's this that fight went for me. That fight, I don't get why that's on a main card of a UFC. I know it's not the best card, but this was just this weren't the fight for me. I was so bored watching it. I just weren't interested in this one. And it was good to see Espinoza win, and it was quite dominant, and he'd come off 2 losses, so it's always good to see guys like that win. But yeah, I was still in still chatting away to people about Agapova from the last fight while this one was on. I honestly weren't bothered by it. But that's 4 losses in a row now for Mark De La Rosa. So I think off the back of this card, we're going to see a few people getting cut, because this was, like, with great respect to all the fighters fighting, this is the bottom of the barrel UFC card. This is all I feel like this is just all the guys they needed to get out and get fights for, and they've got it. But he's on a 4-lose streak, and Jordan Espinoza, he's not one of the top guys, and he's lost to him. So I think that's probably the end of the road for Mark De La Rosa as well, and I think we're going to see that for a few people on this card, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you. And so we will go to that first fight on the main card, which was Maria Agapova's debut, I believe, against Hannah Cyphers. Just came out there, was the bigger person, you could tell from the get-go, and just dominated her, pieced her up, and then found submission. Yeah,
she's like the saving grace of this card to me, because she's someone who just looks like a star. She was massive. She was throwing clean strikes. She hit her with the cleanest head kick you can hit someone with, and Hannah Cyphers is so tough, and she stepped up a weight division, and that's the danger of stepping up in weight, is that you run into a bit of a monster. And that's what happened, and it's unfortunate for her that she's had Dan and Agapova back to back. I'm very, very excited about Agapova now. Like, I'm fully on the train. I think she's a future champion. I think she's only 23, so I'm just if she's fighting, I'm going to be watching now. Like, that was flawless. I'm happy to see she got a 50k bonus. She was, perfect. And Hannah Cyphers, it's been two tough ones back to back, and she's something of a gatekeeper right now, or a measuring stick, sure. And she'll want to change that, because you don't want to be that girl or guy, do you? So she's tough. She's like, to take that head kick flush in the face and keep going it just shows everything she's about. So hopefully they give her not an easy touch, but an easier touch, because she's had back-to-back monsters in 2 weight divisions. Give her a winnable fight now, because she's earned it. And Agapova, I'm fully on that. I'm fully on that train. I think she's a champion in waiting.
For sure. I'm definitely keen to see who they give her next, Agapova. I hope they give her a test, because I think she does look like she's top of the echelon material, So I hope they give her a test. Maybe not someone super high in the rankings, but definitely give her a ranked opponent, just to see how she fares, She's ready. She seems like she's got the skills there. And, I mean, she was a champion in Invicta, wasn't she? Is Invicta champion, or am I wrong?
I think she was. I think she only lost in the Contender Series to Cortes, Tracy Cortes. So she's 23, so there's no need to rush her, but it's not the most stacked division at flyweight, is it? So there's only so long you can put something like that off, and then also you've got the whole, I think she's from Kazakhstan, and Shevchenko's from Ukraine, so that whole Eastern Europe thing is right there to be built. It's just everything about her talent says kind of Russia, but she's 23, and she has just lost to Tracy Cortes. So how good is Tracy Cortes? Let's find out. I just want to see her in fights. Just showcase her. Just put her in against anyone. I'll watch her fight. I just want to see how good she actually is. Because from that was just a dominant display but it was against someone who was smaller and coming up a division, and had just had a tough fight a few weeks before. So she's still got a lot to prove, but I'm fully on board with whatever she's doing.
For sure, and I guess we'll just keep churning through all the fights. We've got 4 more on the cards, might as well go down. And the feature prelim was Merab Dvalishvili, I know how to say that now, because I heard him on the broadcast, versus Gustavo Lopez. And this fight, very one-sided, obviously, in my opinion anyway. Merab wasn't really in trouble at all, and he just took him down and 3,000 times and just dominated him.
Yeah, was Gustavo Lopez, was he like a late replacement guy?
I think he was,
Did
because
he
he was
come
meant
in?
to fight Ray Borg.
Yeah, and people are kind of raving about how are you saying it again?
Dvalishvili.
Davalishvili. Well, everyone's kind of raving over this performance, and
Yeah.
I weren't particularly impressed because it was a late notice guy, and he stepped up, and it was his UFC debut, and he got dominated. Like it weren't that impressive. Like people were saying afterwards, like, oh, Sean O'Malley would avoid them and wouldn't want to fight them, and he's this and he's that, and it was impressive. It was dominant, but it's not like a newcomer's not really someone on late notice is someone I take much notice of. Like he should be dominating the fight. It was like the other week when someone got matched up with a newcomer again and he didn't finish him, and that's what I look for. If someone's new and they're taking the fight on late notice, you should really be putting them away because everything's backed against that fighter. So as impressive as it was dominant. I just don't take a lot from it because of the opponents he was facing. What did you think?
Well, I heard all that talk after because he called out Sean O'Malley, and a lot of people were saying that O'Malley wouldn't want to take that matchup. Like you said, stylistically, I don't think it's a good fight for O'Malley because Merab is just going to try and wrestle you the whole time. You know, he's not going to bother striking with you. He's just going to look for that takedown over and over. I don't think they'll match him with O'Malley. I don't think there's even a chance of that. I think O'Malley's going to get someone ranked at the moment. He's not going backwards. All the traction's on him. As for Merab, I liked O'Malley's idea of matching him with what's his name? The guy who fought Stamen a couple of weekends ago. Or last weekend? Kelleher. That's what O'Malley said, have Dvalishvili versus Kelleher, and I think that's not a bad fight. I think like both of them unranked. Kelleher's a pretty dangerous striker, you know, so we'd really get to test Merab and see where he really stands in the division. As for his performance, dominant. That's it.
It was dominant, and I am interested to see him fight again. He was impressive. It was just who he was fighting. In my mind, it was a newcomer, and he hadn't had much notice. And this guy weren't supposed to win. I'm pretty sure he was about a 9-1 favourite. He was a huge favourite for this fight, and he did what he was supposed to do. And maybe he should have actually got the finish. You know, it was all stacked in his favour. So I am interested to see him fight again, but I want to see him in with true competition, prepared to fight, 8-week camp, and given every chance to beat him, and then I'll be able to make a better formed judgment on him. Right now, I don't have anything much to say other than he dominated
for sure
someone I've never heard of. So yeah,
I couldn't agree more. Before that though, we had more domination. 23-second quickest finish on the card, and that was Julia Avila against Gina Mazzani. And I think it was her debut, and she just came out there and smashed her. It was impressive. She's another one to watch out for,
Yeah, she was impressive. It was just one of them where I honestly didn't really see what hit her and what hurt her. Like, it was just so quick, I couldn't tell what had gone on. It just all of a sudden she curled up. I think it might have been a knee to the body that got her, and then she started backing up. But it was ruthless from Avila, and I think she was a big favourite as well. So that's what favourites should be doing. If you're a big favourite, go out there and wipe someone out. Don't go out, and don't drag the fight out for 15 minutes. That's what I want to see big favourites do. She was a big favourite, clearly for a reason. She just went out, wiped the floor with Gina, and that was that. So very impressive. It's hard to take too much from it because she was a big favourite. Again, it's more about, same with Devashali. I want to see her in the big fights next. I want to see her against someone who's a bit more live, and it's a bit more of a 50-50. So while people were raving about this card, this is not what you want to see. You don't want to see people wiping the floor with someone, because that's not a good card. That's not the makings of a good card. It's not a 50-50 fight. That they were both massive favourites, them last two, and then so yeah, it was good. It was a good win. On to the next one. Let's see how she does, because the bantamweight, that's not featherweight or flyweight. There's monsters of that weight, and she'll be tested. So looking forward to seeing her in them.
For sure. And before that, we had Tyson Nam welcoming Zaruk Adeshev to the UFC, K1 champion, glory kickboxer, padded like a history in kickboxing. He's got this awesome record. Comes in there. The commentary are all like, "Oh yeah, Nam's not going to want to strike with him. He's going to use his wrestling and take him down." And Nam just starches him in 33 seconds. I thought that was really good for Tyson Nam, especially coming off 2 losses. Like 2 losses or 1 loss. He lost to Kai Fence. Maybe it's 1. Anyway, coming off losses, he obviously come back in there, 33-second finish. That's got to look good, right? Like, it'll put him up there against the top 10 now, I'd imagine. It's not a very deep division. Oh, he's a flyweight. This was bantamweight.
Yeah. So I was watching this one, just like as I was saying to you last week, I'm kind of someone who likes to look at people in the cage and just kind of see what they look like. And Nam looked like a beast. He looked ripped to shreds, and then the other guy just looked like a little guy, like a little pudgy guy. He didn't look particularly athletic or anything like that. And I'm not from the kickboxing world. I don't really know a lot about it. So I was hearing the hype, and then I was just weren't surprised when he just flatlined him, because it just looked like, on paper, just physically, that's how it looked. So, but just going through his record afterwards, I think that's just the weight he fights at, and he missed weight this time. So, it's a great win for Tyson Nam. It was so clean, and he obviously got his 50k because it was the best. It was probably the best moment of the night. It was, and you know, it's. I always obviously I'm an MMA guy. I root for the MMA guy when these things happens. When a big kickboxer comes over and you just see someone who's not got them credentials just starch someone, it just shows you that MMA striking's real. And in the MMA cage, it's a totally different ball game. So very happy for Nam. It was Adeshev. He's got all this hype. I'm excited to see him again. If he is that good, maybe he just needs a proper camp, because he come in a few pounds overweight and maybe he just rushed it. What did you make of it?
Wasn't enough for me to really break it down. Like I saw Nam go out there, Adeshev threw a couple of punches and got countered and knocked out. I think if you're such a high caliber kickboxer coming into MMA, a lot of the opponents that he's going to face are people that aren't going to want to strike with him. They're going to look for the takedown. They're going to be very defensive based when they're striking. Whereas I think Nam had the perfect strategy, which he was like happy to strike with him. He looked for the counter and he found it. So I haven't seen him kickbox, so I don't know how good he really is. But yeah, I think this is going to give. I can't see him getting too many fights. I don't think he stands up there with the higher caliber guys. This is Adeshev I'm talking about. I don't think they're going to give him a guy better than Nam. I think that's the best he's going to get. And I think one of the lower ranked guys in flyweight or unranked, like one of those pool of guys, can finish him. And I can't see him having much of a future. Oh, so he's a bantamweight, isn't he? It's bantamweight.
He's a bantamweight.
Yeah, even worse.
Small guy, so
even worse then.
Like he's a small. He could go down, but he missed weight, so. It's it's one of them for him. He's only, and I was surprised to see him in the UFC at 3-1. So he must be a really big name in the kickboxing world to be even in UFC at this point. But it was just sometimes with things like that, though, it's just a bad night and you just get caught, and then he could go on and build from that. So don't want to totally write anyone off, but it's just a bad night for him and great night for Tyson Nam.
For sure, and now I'm thinking it's a bantamweight. He would be small for that division, right? Because he didn't look like a big bantamweight.
No, he was really small.
Yeah.
That was just the first thing that popped out to me. He just didn't look ripped. He didn't look, particularly in shape. He just looked like a really small guy who maybe got the call on late notice and missed weight. So if he could go down, that would be the shout, because he's about the same size as the 125ers.
Yeah.
But from his record, there's no evidence of him fighting at that weight. So maybe he just needs a better weight cut, a better camp. I'm sure he'll get another go on him. And Tyson Nam, that's one of the biggest wins of his career. So, hats off to him.
Yeah, so we'll have to just see how he goes from there. And we'll go to the opening fight of the night, which was Anthony Ivy versus Christian Aguilera. And this one I thought was going to be a bit of a war, because they were going at it on the feet. And then, what did he catch him with? Can't recall, but Aguilera caught Ivy and folded him, and he covered, and that was it. 59 seconds, just under a minute. Not a lot to take from that because it was so short. A lot of these fights, there's not a lot to break down because they were so quick, especially the early ones. What did you think?
This fight, I was actually because it was the start of the card, my girlfriend was actually watching with me for a few, and then this whole fight, I missed all it because she was just joking about his name,
Oh, right.
saying he's called Christina Aguilera. So, I think he caught him with something on the temple. It was like a little right over the top. It was a bit more clear than Avila, but
Yeah.
it was still like quite fuzzy of what he hit him with, and it was. But then you can just see the reaction. You could see his eyes pop, and it was lovely. It was just a weird first few fights, weren't it? Everyone was just. They were speaking about the cage, is that an issue? But people were just starching people, so it was a great, you know, debut for him. He just wiped them out, and that's what you want to do on your debut, isn't it? Really, you want to make a statement, and he's on a 3-fight win streak now. So, it's just on to the next one with these ones. This is one of them cards where a lot of people won't know a lot of these names, but if you're getting a high profile, highlight reel knockout, people are going to watch you next time, and people are going to go, oh, I remember that guy. So it's more about the next one than this one. I want to see how far he can go now.
For sure. And I mean, that takes us through the whole card. Was there any news you had written down you wanted to discuss? Anything that happened last week?
No, it's been happening. No, it's just all the pay stuff, isn't it? All the fighters are coming out now, and speaking about that, it's good to get everyone's side. I just don't think UFC are going to budge. I just don't think this is the way fighters are going to get paid. I think the way to get paid is to fight, but I don't disagree with the stances they're taking. But UFC are just so dominant, and it's basically, if you don't want to fight here, you don't have to fight here. Like, they are the only ticket in to town, so it is difficult for the fighters to get what they think they're worth, and it's a weird one. It's a weird one, but it's good that everyone's speaking about it because it is something that needs speaking about. And I'm happy to see, people like Gray Maynard and Sam Stout and Mike Pierce all come out and, say it's not great, and, back up the current guys.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to see a few more current guys come out, but I think a lot of people, they just want to fight and earn the money and earn as much as they can and
happy with
take what they're getting.
Yep.
Yeah, but when you're at the top and you're George Masvidal and you're John Jones, I think a lot of fighters are saying, I wish I was earning what you guys are earning. But then, some guys are making 10 and 10 and 20 and 20. So it is two different worlds, and they are the top. And I don't think Conor McGregor's going to be joining them because I'm sure him and UFC will come to a deal. But everyone else, it's not going to happen. And I'm a bit worried now that someone like Masvidal, who's in his fighting prime, who looks brilliant, he might end up doing a Nate Diaz and sitting out for 3 years, and it's just not what you want to see.
I agree. And I mean, on the topic of money, did you see One Championship's little, what's the word I'm looking for? They emailed out like a press announcement about their funding they got. They got $76 million of US dollars of funding recently in like an investor round they did. And for some reason they like released that for everyone to see. They emailed it out to all the people in their news list. It's like, I don't know if that's like a strategic move to try and show their competitors, look how much money we've got. Because the email said that their battle chest or whatever they said had like some ridiculous amount of money. And the reason I saw it is because Dana White replied to it on Twitter, and he was like, "Why the fuck are they sending people that?" That's what I thought. I was like, what's the point of this?
I think it was some site last week did like a report on them saying they'd lost so much money, like 100 million.
Oh, so this was damage control.
Of staff. Yeah, so they'd lost a load of staff, and he'd let about 20% staff go, and then this is kind of saying, basically, no, we're not skint. We've got all this money, and blah blah blah. But yeah, I hope they can. Like, this is what UFC needs for fights to get paid, for everyone to get paid properly. You need a you need a proper challenger. Eventually, MMA is going to go the same way as boxing, and it'll be hard to make fights and things like that. It just depends what you want. If you want the fights to be paid, they need options. It shouldn't just be UFC or bust.
Yeah.
Because then you've just got to take what UFC offers you. If someone like One Championship can actually, rise and be a true competitor, that's what you want, because that's how you're going to get the fighters paid. If you're bothered about the fighters getting paid, that's how it's going to have to happen. You need a competitor. It is a monopoly, and it's going to come to an end at some point, and it's going to probably diminish the level of fights we're gonna get. But at the same time, you can rest safe that knowing that these fighters are actually getting paid. So depends what you want.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll speak to you on Wednesday to preview the UFC Fight Night Blades versus Volkov card. Thanks for watching.